Good evening. The Average Guy here. Welcome to my Halloween special. What makes a great horror movie? Is it the gore, the number of jump scares, the monsters that lurk in the shadows?
Yeah. Nah. You see, a great horror movie is one that hits you just right, at the right moment. I'm not a fan of excessive gore just for gore's sake, or the usual setups to make you go boo when you know something's coming. It's all about the story. A great story leaves you with as many questions as when you started. I also don't think that it's supposed to be serious all the time. I mean, it's not real, folks. So I've included as many on this list that are not just good, but could also be called just stupid good. I'm not putting any spoilers in here because the less you know coming into a film, well, don't you think that's the secret to all good films? So here, in order, are my favourite Halloween movies of all time. Let's go! This is the only newer film on the list. I've just about given up on there being a unique horror film in these times. That, of course, is not unique to horror films. And to be fair, we're still going back nearly 10 years. I guess if you want to see cookie cutter characters for modern audiences, you could go watch Agatha All Along on Disney+. This creepy telling of a homesteader's life in a new land with all the natural dangers, the unknowns to face.
What went we out into this wilderness to find? Leaving our country, kindred, our fathers' houses. We travailed that vast ocean. For what? For what?
Along with a creepy goat.
Get back! You two, stop that!
And a performance by Anya Taylor-Joy is stunning. It's stunning visually, but also for the never-ending ability to throw you off kilter. The authentic dialogue and location settings help the atmosphere just reek of menace. You'll never stop asking yourself, is she innocent or isn't she? So, when the fog rolls in, get yourself a cocoa and settle in by the fire for a cozy night with this one. Well, it had to be here, didn't it? My homage to the greatest horror film of all time. So why so low on the list, Average Guy? Well, I've watched it with younger audiences and they just laugh at the effects. It seems we've come a long way from head-spinning props and pea soup vomit. It doesn't take away from the story, however. Even if it's a little slow at the start, it soon picks up pace and builds that ever-growing tension. This is really a callback to my youth. The fact that I was banned in a good Catholic household from ever seeing this, and my eventual viewing as a kid of my sister's VHS copy alone was not a pleasant experience for an old boy father. Fun fact, I visited these steps in Georgetown, Washington DC in 1989, and I can't say it didn't make me shiver a little. If you know, then you know, and you're going, yes, yes, yes. During the slasher period of the 80s, there was a re-emergence of the B-grade horror schlock that we all loved. Born out of an earlier decade of black and white films from the 1950s, let me tell you, it is really, really hard to pull off just the right combination of horror/comedy in any film. Scream comes to mind in more recent times. Too much comedy and it just becomes stupid. Too much horror and the comedy takes you out of the picture. Reanimator gets it just right.
What are you thinking? How do you feel? You?
Herbert West is gloriously iconic. I'm talking Bruce Campbell, Evil Dead level iconic.
Herbert West brought a lot of dead people back to life, and not one of them showed any appreciation.
It's Lovecraft with all the weird, but also so much fun. See it with a friend, but just see it. I'm pretty sure it's free right here on YouTube. The originals are the best. There is something about watching the gentrified, polite English countryside getting all fucked up that just warms my heart. This is a truly dramatic and disturbing tale if you come into it cold. I saw the 1995 remake, but it's not as good. Based on the incredible story written by John Wyndham, The Midwich Cuckoos. Yes, the same sci-fi writer who gave us The Day of the Triffids. Side note for next time there, average guy. The original title refers to the birds who substitute their eggs into other birds' nests. The silent spaces in this film, the sinister nature of those polite English kitties for this time period is enough to put you off breeding for another year or two. Spawning many lookalikes, aka Children of the Corn, it's still the kind of matinee movie that's just wrong for all the right reasons. Remember when great films had signature scores? People actually put effort in to make the sound you heard as memorable as the scripts or the effects. We already mentioned The Exorcist on our list, which was Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield. And there's another one to come. But here, just that bass. Nicely sets you on the edge of your seat. Gets you to pull the covers up to your eyes. Here's a remake of a 1950s film that was actually better. Beautifully paced, it delivers horror, a little rubbery in places for sure, but so much suspense, a thriller with an ending that has people questioning it decades later. John Carpenter's classic. Why can't we have more dark endings like this, please?
And on that tree there was a limb, and on that limb there was a branch, and on that branch there was a nest, and in that nest there was an egg, and in that egg there was a bird.
This must be a boomer's trippy nightmare. Poor old Edward Woodward doesn't know what he's in for. This actor is an underrated English film, TV, stage, and even singing star of the 70s and 80s, mainly known for his portrayal of a British spy assassin in the series Callan. It was one of my mum's favourites. But who appeared in so many films, including Breaker Morant here in Oz. This is such a creepy watch. If you're unaware of this story, don't look into it. Get a copy, just let it unfold. Put some flowers in your hair, dance around the maypole, and above all, don't watch Midsommar. That's a different kind of horror. Watch this instead. I mean, it also stars Britt Ekland and the mighty Christopher Lee. What more do you want? Forget your dumbass superheroes of today. Except maybe Deadpool, he's okay. We have the Toxic Avenger. Fresh from the mean streets of small-town Tromaville, USA, our hero, Melvin, is having the usual teen troubles with girls and being picked on by the local bullies when he accidentally falls into a vat of nuclear waste. And so is born the legend of the Toxic Avenger. And nothing in a tutu has been more terrifying since. From Troma Entertainment, who has spawned such classics as Class of Newcomb High, Surf Nazis Must Die, and Rabid Grannies, comes this classic. Grab a few beers, or better yet, roll something with your friends, and prepare for the horror ride of horror rides. Not for the squeamish. My tribute to those gloriously awful 50s cheapy horror films. I might have been too young to watch The Exorcist, but these were on every weekend. And we'd gather around with our friends and sit back and just shit ourselves with laughter at the mighty Godzilla, Mothra, the creature from the Black Lagoon, them, it, came from outer space. What made these so great? It goes back to the Toxic Avenger and Reanimator. That rare combination, the balance of horror and comedy. But these weren't meant to be comedy. The reason it worked was that they were deadly serious at the time. The straight acting in the face of such stupid premises made these films immortal. I mean, really, watch this online. This film was supposed to be better, evidently, but they had to outsource the special effects to a Mexican film editing studio to save costs. The results? A masterpiece. My channel may actually have something to do with this film, so there's an Easter egg for you. If you put into words Halloween movie in the dictionary, this film would be the photo credit. It hits all the beats. Mystery, suspense, a spine-tingling music score, escalating threats, an unknown assailant, pumpkins. Then the surprise ending. Probably actually its only real weakness. Like The Sixth Sense, once you know it, kind of takes away from repeat performances. Never mind, Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing in this performance and outshines all the other actors, even the wonderful Donald Pleasance, who looks like he's hamming it up just a little here. The second Carpenter film on this list, if you don't count Village of the Damned remake in '95, when he was on, that man was on. And then at other times, not so much. Always will be a Halloween classic, not just because of the name, but probably because it takes place in your neighborhood, just next door. These days, Michael Myers writ large is even more plausible than in 1978.
Well, it's a marvelous night for a month.
Of all the big blockbusters on this list, this is probably the sleeper. I know many people have seen it, but some people haven't. Surprisingly more than you'd think. Maybe again because it doesn't play as a traditional horror film. It sets up that way.
Did you hear that? I heard that. What was it? Could be a lot of things. Yeah? A coyote.
And then it takes you deeper into a story of a man out of place in another country, of romance, of sadness, of humanity. There's comedy, even brotherly love. This film is a good time, but it still delivers the punches when needed. And they still hold up today. It's one of those films where you say, I can't believe you haven't seen this.
What's August?
Boy, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh, you wanna get sued?
Here we are with my number one pick, The Shining. How many younger people under 35 stumbled across the film for the first time this way? It's a Kubrick masterpiece. I don't care what Stephen King says. It's a crafted piece of cinema that shows the descent into madness of one man. Remember when families were depicted this way, as genuinely dysfunctional and a bit on the edge? Not an amalgam of quippy one-liners and unrealistic mashups. Plenty of threads to pull out all along the way.
Tony, tell me. He's not here, Mrs. Torrance.
Supernatural elements abound, and when it's all said and done, a final shot that just adds that subtle touch of, huh? Well, if you haven't seen this, and I don't know why that would be, grab a cocktail from Mr. Grady, and don't make him explain why you need to see this.
But I corrected them, sir.
There you go. Enough to fill your boots until the next spooky season. I hope there's a few here you haven't seen, and they either give you a shock, a laugh, or more importantly, a good time. I could have included so many more. Maybe next year. Till then, have fun.